Morning, guys. Hope all is well. We're 2 hours basically into London session. So I'm just going to do a little video to see what I'm looking at. Okay, so let's have a look at the dollar. So dollar, we have been bearish. Obviously, we've been through this quite a few times now. I was waiting for levels around here to get met. We probably still could get those. We are breaking lower, so that is nice to see. So I just want to see a little bit of a continuation. As you can see so far at the moment, following this bearish momentum, we swept the highs, mitigated, we've broken structure, looking for the zone that caused that break. This was in this zone. You can see we run into the 50%. Price then has come back down, created a confirmed lower low, and now we are looking like we are pushing back up to the top side now, whether potentially we're going to dig a little bit deeper and higher and potentially take out this wick and go higher. I personally, well, I mean, like, unless it really breaks structure, we could obviously go higher, but I would want to be seeing something like this. If that was to actually play out and potentially come dig back up into this order a little bit. But for the time being, I'm just going to go with basic structure because you can't anticipate a break of structure until something shows you that it is. So we have two zones which we could potentially react from. We have this zone and this zone. If we do use a quick fib, I'm going to take it from this low. You can see our fib is in and around this region. We do have this zone which lines up with our first fib level, which lines up with the 50% here, which is really nice to see. But there is something potentially telling me we may push a little bit deeper. It is only Monday, so let's kind of wait and see. I don't do anything on a Monday if it's past New York session anyway, so let's kind of wait and see. If we take this low, bring it up to the high, where's our target? Okay, cool. So our target is lining up with this zone in here. So if we do actually potentially come back up into those zones, I will just in fact look for shorts back down into this level. So this is going to be potentially looking for that distribution to play out, waiting for those breaks of structures, waiting for zones to get tested, hopefully, and then take this a little bit lower. I do definitely want to see these lows get taken out. This was some news. But I definitely do think we could come back down into here. Unless we break this high, I am just going with structure until price tells me. So that's dollar. US 30. US 30 has been on a bit of a run recently. It's been nice to see. Running a little bit higher than I anticipate, to be fair, but you can never anticipate these things. So we have, overall, we've been in a big distribution. I've been speaking about this. This is our whole distribution zone. If we are just mitigating, following everything back down again, we can take this last final zone, which was the actual last sponsor move for the distribution. We see we mitigated. So now I'm kind of really looking to see if we're going to dig somewhere back up in here. Whether this is potentially going to happen, I don't know. I did scale this down. It's like a 15-minute and then also a 5-minute. So we do actually have this 5-minute within here, or we can take it a little bit deep into here, but we could take it just here, which then you can see mitigated out of this. And there was also some mitigation from this wick in here. We could probably break it down a little bit. Oh, I can't go back that far. That's a shame. Okay, well, we mitigated all the way back to the top side, all the way up here. And I do think we could potentially come and run this small daily high. It's not a daily high. What is it? Yeah, I think we could come and run this little 12-hour high and actually just dig up into this wick a little bit more. If any of you guys know, wicks are just buy to sell movements or sell to buy movements, but just on a lower time frame. So with that 5-minute being within there, I think we could actually run up and hit this wick. And actually mitigate out something a little bit more and then come down a bit. If I just go back into that 5-minute, I'm just curious. Okay, yeah, so you can see where that 4-hour wick open is kind of basically at the open of this 5 minutes. So I am potentially going to be looking for potential areas like this to get met, but for the time being, we do have a couple scenarios that could play out. as you can see so far, we have just been bullish. We've just been creating higher highs. I did think we were going to sweep this low, but I do think we could potentially run out this final low when price has actually achieved all of the things that needs to have done. Because I don't think price is going to die to the gun. I mean, like it really could do, but I really don't think that's probably going to happen. I think we're just going to come to one target and then come take out the other final target. So a couple setups potentially on US 30 at the moment. We do have this Asian high, which I'm looking to get taken out potentially. Following this whole kind of bullish movement, you can see we've mitigated our zones, again mitigated. We've come back in, we've mitigated zones in here. And then from the other week or last week, we had news, which was this move, which kind of just gave us this real big, strong impulse. We broke structures, we stayed above it, and then we opened the next day. We ran the high. We can run down on a 15-minute. You can see we ran the high, we come back down again, we ran the highs in here, had one more sweep. This is that 5-minute, this is that wick. Again, this is nothing more than just a buy to sell on a lower time frame. You can see we had that test mitigation, we break in shifting demand, taking out that London session low, and then we actually started run back a little bit deeper now. I'm not really classing this as a bottom of a market. I would want to see kind of a raid and some of these lows getting taken out a little bit more. Yes, we did mitigate off this, but this didn't really kind of come into anything. I mean, we did actually tell a lie. We did come into this first little hour imbalance, but there's a lot more within this zone, I think, that could potentially get mitigated from. And if we take the whole of this move, we take the 50%, where most of the orders are actually going to be stored within an order. You can see we do have this 15-minute zone down in here, which you can actually see is a really nice example, again, of a distribution. An accumulation, apologies, that's my mistake, an accumulation. A Wyckoff is nothing more than a manipulation of the lows and then a breaker structure to the upside. Well, you could say this is your shift, and then this is your breaker structure to the top side. We had supply, which got invalidated. This supply, if any of you guys know about liquidity, supply and demand and things, we have a supply zone in here. Now, I was looking for that to be a target, but I wasn't looking to trade off that. And just take a moment and to think why you think the supply zone didn't work out, because this is actually a valid supply zone. Well, we can just take the body of the whole move. But this didn't work out, or this wasn't the correct supply zone to be trading from, because I've said this in like videos before, you have like a wick and then you have like this liquidity that gets built up and then it just gets ran out. And then this is exactly what just happened here. We have this liquidity wick, and then people think that this is selling off again. It sells off a bit more. There's going to be so many people selling here and having their stop losses above this high. And if we're bullish at the moment, so supply isn't in control at the moment, demand is in control. So you can see, even though we're mitigating off small zones, we are actually still mitigating. So demand is actually in control at the moment until we've invalidated the supply. So now I'm looking for the demand down here, which caused the slight invalidation of this supply and the liquidity run and the breaker structure to actually then get met. So hopefully that was a lot of information. Hopefully that, guys, made sense. Let's go back. Excuse me. So game plan for potentially this morning, going into the Asians, going into New York session. Now, I did say just then that this supply didn't work out because we are bullish and we do have supply here, which I'm selling from. Yes, we are bullish. Excuse me. But the difference is this distribution was different to when this area kind of happened. So here we created a gap. Asian, we going into London, we manipulated previous session highs. London high manipulated, London low manipulated, and going into New York session, we actually crashed down, looking to come back into this final target. Now, you can do that if it's valid to do so. The reason why this wasn't valid to do so is because it had already hit and manipulated in zones where it already mitigated out from to then actually pump higher. Now, if price was potentially around here, we could have seen that move to sell to then buy. Whereas this we are basically back up into our zones. We generate liquidity. If price then rolls over back down into here, I'm going to be looking for longs because this is going to be acting as liquidity. And then again, this is going to be acting as liquidity. We might get a little bit of a pullback or mitigation off that zone. But as an overall, we're probably going to break through it and actually push a little bit higher into this zone. The only way this is actually going to be more of a confirmed zone is if price actually breaks this zone, and then we come look for a pullback up into here. We leave this liquidity intact, and then we take it out, we mitigate, and then we actually come lower, because structure is going to trump anything that happens. And at the moment, even on our 4-hourly, you can see we are just breaking structures higher and higher. So this is definitely going to be a major zone that we're going to be looking for some sort of reaction. So if going into the New York session, we do actually get that buy, I'm just going to be seeing this as like a buy to sell movement. And then if we come back down in here, then I'm going to be looking for the longs from this zone. So the first one is potentially going to be about like a 1 to 3. So nothing crazy. I do have a target down here, or this is why I'm potentially looking for my other zone to get hit. But just for the time being, I am going to look to see if there is anything off that 30-minute, just because sometimes you can just react from a zone like this and actually go up, and I don't want to lose out on missing a TP get hit just because I was trying to rinse it a couple more pips. It's just no point. So what I would like to see is potentially going into New York, we have that run, sell to buy movement, we accumulate, and then we buy to sell, and then we actually continue up. So that's what I'm looking for US30. If we do, in fact, just break, or we don't do that, then that's fine, because it's Monday and we'll just go again. So that's US30. Euro USD. Pretty basic. Breaking highs. We are slowly coming in to this daily zone. We basically tapped into it, but we actually didn't really, because this line is the daily open. You can see we actually didn't. It should be like this. We didn't actually meet it, and I think we could definitely just run this out one more time, exactly kind of like US30 as well. What I'm really just kind of looking for is, well, let's kind of break it down. You can see high, lower, low, high, low, high, 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 low, high, high. This is not a high, low, because this didn't, this low wasn't within the actual structure range. So until this high is broken, this is now a confirmed lower low, only until this high is broken. So be considering this high didn't break this high, that means this high wasn't actually our confirmed high low. So we have our high, high, low, higher high, higher low, higher high. So now we're just looking for that high low to then come back in and create a higher high. So every time so far, price has mitigated at the 50%. So you can see this is my low, this is my high. Use my fib from this low back up into this high. This is our 50%. You can see price came into that 50%, and then we continued higher. Breaking structures. So now we're just looking for the kind of the zones potentially which broke this structure zone or this structure point. And I'm definitely looking for this supply zone or this demand zone that's actually within and below our 50%. Maybe could run a little bit deeper into here, because this was the demand which flipped this supply. That could potentially be a possibility, but I am just going to go off the most recent supply zone. I'm not going to be setting any limits here. I am going to wait for something actually really clear to kind of play out and get some confirmations. So I do want to see potentially just these movements, and then when we actually start shifting momentum and actually mitigating potentially at zones and sweeping liquidity, as soon as we get these break structures, that's when I'll be looking for the pullbacks into potential zones, take this higher. So could potentially see a nice move on there. I do really just want to see an area of liquidity being built up, and I do want to see the manipulations a little bit lower. If we do get a zone like a point like this and it just like continues, then it just is what it is. If you did, sorry, that was my speaker. If you did manage to kind of get in anywhere in here, that would have been fine. 64 pip stop loss, and then you've got over a 200 and something pip target. So that is like, it is valid. And the risk to reward on this would have been So about 1 to 3. So 1 to 3 is fine. I personally don't really like swinging small RR trades like this. So I'm not going to be placing any limits in and around here, but I am, like I said, I'm just going to wait for that clear kind of confirmation for those buys. AUD/USD, if I'm going to be really honest, there's nothing for me. There's nothing really like looks too nice. Obviously, I'm sure everyone's kind of looking for this kind of imbalance range in here. So I am going to be interested to see obviously what reactions come off this level. But we do have liquidity down here, which I very well think we could take out. I do think we could potentially maybe dig a little bit deeper into some orders, a little bit higher up, but honestly, I don't know. So I'm not really going to be looking at it too much. Obviously, I am going to be keeping an eye on it, but there's nothing in here which I'm really going to call out as a potential setup because I don't see anything. Euro pound, again, nothing on euro pound. I was really looking for this buys off here. That would have been really nice. Again, sometimes it just doesn't hit, is what it is. We are now coming into our 4-hourly zone. Potentially could push higher into this zone because this is, when you're looking at it, this is our low, this is our high. Nothing's confirmed until we actually break structures here, and we've actually kind of confirmed broke this low. So maybe into this zone, or in fact maybe higher into these zones again up here. But for the time being, I'm just going to be looking for this zone. What I did think could happen is we could pull back slightly. We could pull back slightly, run this high, dig somewhere into this order. Whoops. Dig somewhere up into this around maybe the 50%. Let's check out 50%. Yeah, 50%. You can actually see where this imbalance is as well. And that new order zone, that's going to potentially be a nice place to be looking for potential sells from, to maybe take this down and start maybe taking out this low. I feel like that's quite overdue now. We came so close to it, but yet kind of so far away, just generating so much liquidity in these lows. So I do think we could go back down and push a little bit lower after this, but I do again want to see a clear kind of distribution, and then actually look for the sells from there. Gold, I called out this level a little while ago. It almost got hit before, and then it got hit recently, like yesterday, on Friday. So up about, okay, like a 1 to 3 at the moment. I'm not really looking to take, I'm at break even at this point. I think gold could run higher, definitely run higher. We could run up to here. I'm at break even at the moment, so maybe we could have a slight run just on the top side. Or equally, we could just come back down. We have mitigated off of this zone, so kind of this is a somewhat little protected low at this current point, but that doesn't mean we couldn't just break through it. If we do break through this low, we're probably just going to break the whole thing. But if we do still respect these zones, then we could actually have a run and take out this kind of rollover. I don't like when I see price rollover like this. It's going to be so many people selling here that price is more than likely just going to run it out. We are bullish anyway. So you can see this is our low, this is our break structure. This is our high, 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 low, high, high. So now potentially this our confirmed high, low. We are in and around our fib levels, which is nice to see. So kind of just potential continuations higher is potentially going to be valid. So I'm going to be interested to see what happens in those zones. And then NAS, I'm literally can't really see anything that I like too much, so I'm going to wait and see. But if you guys have got any questions, please let me know. Feel free to fire away and I will help everyone as much as I can. All right, guys.